to the show. This the MMA fortune teller. Yeah.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.
What is up, you guys? The teller checking in. We got a newly added matchup taking place on this upcoming weekend's fight card. Of course, headlined by Jamahal Hill and Johnny Walker. An underrated fight, in my opinion. May I just throw that in? But you guys know, in the full card prediction video, we briefly touched upon the fact that Khalid Taha did have to withdraw from the fight card. He was originally matched up with Mario Bautista. Fortunately enough for Bautista, he's able to stay in the fight card, and in steps Jay Perrin, Jay the Savage Perrin. Some of you guys are probably familiar with him from Dana White's Contender Series. He had a fight there. He was a former Cage Titans champion in the 135-pound weight division, the bantamweight division. And I'm gonna brush you up on this guy, Jay. If you're not familiar, was able to watch a couple interviews with him, and I must say, I am missing doing my fighter interviews right now. I cannot wait for the studio to be set up. I'm really missing it. I saw some people doing some interviews with him, and I was, just getting that itch. I would have loved to had a word with him myself. Jay Perrin is a very interesting fella, a guy that's extremely confident. I like his personality. He calls fighters out. This isn't some guy that's just, sitting around training and then just saying, oh, match me up with whoever you match me up with. I'm just here to handle business. This is a guy that actually has a little bit of a personality. I like that. This is a guy that just recently moved from the Northeast over to Las Vegas, training at Syndicate MMA. And, he's willing to make sacrifices to try to be the best fighter that he could be. I like these types of things. And just listening to him speak, there was a lot of things that I gravitated towards and that I liked. So let me just say that about Jay Perrin. As you see him, and probably I wouldn't say a surreal moment. I mean, he's been here before. Again, he fought in this arena and in this cage on Dana White's Contender Series, but now this is legitimately a fight for the UFC, so a little different. So I'm sure it's still somewhat surreal to him. You see him tapping up the bag here. So, Jay Perrin has his hands full here, taking on Mario Bautista. Mario Bautista, a guy that I do feel is a solid fighter. Now, he's only 2-2 in his last 4 fights, but this is a guy at one point in time that really had a lot of steam behind him. Of course, he had that phenomenal performance where he finished Miles Johns. Now, ironically enough, Miles Johns was just finished again recently, but a guy that a lot of people do respect. I do respect Miles Johns. I don't know how you guys feel about him. I think Miles Johns is a very talented fighter, but he's shown that the fight game, it's no joke, and it could take a hold of anybody. But Mario Bautista looks phenomenal in that fight. Showed to have some real diverse attacks as far as trying to finish the fight in all types of ways, throwing flying knees. He's a new age type of fighter. Now, one thing I really like about Bautista is the fact that he's constantly changing his stance in his fights. He goes from being an orthodox to southpaw, back and forth. This is something that I've always respected and have been high on for a long time. Even just in my own personal game, training MMA throughout the years, I always practice both sides almost evenly. As much work as I did in my orthodox stance, I used to love to switch up to southpaw. In fact, I kind of almost... I'm a natural righty, but I almost favored having my right hand forward at times. I love throwing lead attacks with my right hand, hooks and jabs with my power hand. And as far as kicks, it's a little different, but if you work on it and if you start training both stances from an early age, I think it's something that's very powerful. I think it throws your opponents off. And to be honest, I don't understand why a lot more fighters don't do it. I've never understood it. When you see specific fighters doing it, you see the broadcast teams mentioning it and going crazy about it. And in no way, shape, or form am I trying to brag, but to me, that's something that always felt natural to go back and forth. And maybe for some people, some of my old training partners, I've heard them say things like this, they feel a little uncomfortable going back and forth. I love going back and forth, and there's certain things that work even nicer in one stance, and you could try to implement that, and then you can go back and forth, and you got that specialty on the other side. And again, it keeps your opponents guessing, and I think it kind of mentally messes with them when they see you switching stances. It changes everything from what they want to do as far as from them attacking. When you're in a different stance, your lead legs now, in the opposite direction. If they're looking to to throw inside leg kicks or whatnot, or work the leg kicks. It changes things up. So just when I break down tape on Bautista, I want to point that out because that's something that I do admire, and I don't understand why more fighters don't do it, to be quite honest. So in regards to Bautista there. Now, when I first saw this fight matched up and I was breaking down tape, before I even looked at the specs of these guys, height, weight, and all that, I thought that Bautista was going to be a little bit bigger than he is. I mean, he does have a 2-inch height advantage, but the reach is the same. So this guy Perrin has a pretty solid, has a pretty solid length in his arms for his height. It seems like it. Now, when we break down tape on Jay Perrin, we talk about the Dana White's Contender Series fight. We talk about fights that he's had in the regional scene. This is a guy that's extremely tough. His fighting style fits his personality. He backs up his talk. This guy walks forward. He looks to bring the fight. I mean, if you break down any tape in him, he's not typically on the back foot. He's typically always coming forward. Has a great gas tank. Definitely has a great gas tank. And you see him over here training at Syndicate MMA with... what's his name over here? This guy, a solid boxer, Vince Morales, Vince Morales, who actually just had a very, very solid performance fighting at a Syndicate MMA. So, that's always a plus sign when you see guys that are brushing shoulders together. And I'm sure these guys are getting a lot of work in together. And Vince Morales looked very, very good in his last fight. But back to Jay Perrin here. Perrin brings the fight. I expect him to do that. He looks to be in phenomenal shape going into this fight. Fight taking place at his natural weight class, bantamweight division. This isn't a guy that's a flyweight fighter that's just not making the weight cut and just stepping in to fight a guy that's naturally bigger. That's not really the case. We're talking about a former bantamweight champion over at Cage Titans. I like Cage Titans a lot. They have some solid fighters coming out of that promotion, and Jay Perrin is a tough customer. Now, I do think that he has his hands full a little bit. We're going to get to the betting line here in 1 second. Bear with me. I think that he has his hands full a little bit because Bautista, to me, is going to be the more fluid striker here. He's going to be, like I said, switching up these stances and whatnot. He's going to be working the leg kicks a lot more, the head kicks. He's going to be working the kicks in general a lot more. Perrin is a little bit more, he heavily favorites his boxing from some of the tape I've seen. He likes to throw hands. And he's decent with his technique, but he's a work in progress, and he'll be the first to admit this to you. If you listen to his interviews, he's constantly talking about how he's trying to become a better fighter. He's going in training with guys that are putting the whooping on him, and that's what he's looking for. He's looking to train with guys that can give it to him. And of course, I'm sure he's whooping dudes up as well, but he wants to train with guys that are even better than him, so he could elevate his fighting skills, which is something you want to hear. This is what you want to hear from fighters when you're looking into the interviews and you're breaking them down and you're trying to see what kind of fighters they are. This is a guy that's not shying away from the challenge. He's putting in the work. And of course, you could easily say, oh yeah, all these guys they're UFC fighters, but no, there's different levels. There's definitely different levels. Some guys are more naturally talented. I think that Perrin is a guy that's just putting in that work, and which is a good thing for a fighter that's taking a fight on short notice, because I'm willing to bet that he's in full shape here, and he's been getting ready for an opportunity like this. This didn't just fall in his lap. I'm sure that he was well in the mix of knowing that if somebody fell off in one of these fights, that he was going to be the first guy to be called. So do understand that as well. Now, we're going to pull up the betting line here. Jay Perrin opened up right around at plus 270. And a little bit of action has came in on him over at DraftKings. You see him dropping down to a plus 250. We take a look over at Bet Rivers, open up as a plus 220, and money's been going the opposite way over there. On FanDuel, open up as a plus 220, and then now is a plus 260. So a little bit, so some different things going there depending on what book you're looking at. My initial thoughts when I take a look at this betting line is I think that the line is slightly off. I think that, yes, I do favor Bautista to come in here, a guy that was training for a very tough customer in Khalid Taha. I expect Mario Bautista to have a little bit of a mental edge. He has some fights already under his belt in the UFC, and he's had some amazing performances just to boost his confidence in that sense too. Real quick, we'll brush upon those. Believe he had 4 fights in the UFC. I might be wrong on that. Let's see here. Yeah, he started his UFC career off stepping in there with a guy in Corey Sandhagen. So he knows that he's been in there with the best of the best, although he was finished very quick in that fight. 2 victories in a row, takes out Jin Susan. That was the guy, if you guys remember, Jin Susan is the guy that fought Piotr Jan and put on that very entertaining fight where he kept walking forward with his head down, eating all those shots. He was smiling. An interesting customer, a decent striker. takes out Miles Johns, and then in his last fight, he gets finished by Trevin Jones. Trevin Jones has not been shy to go in there and lay out many of opponents. He has some serious power, so maybe don't put Bautista under the fire too much, even though he got finished there. Jones has been known to take out dudes and take out some very, very skilled dudes in that. We saw him finish that Dagestani guy, name slipping my mind right now, one of the top prospects in the division. But the point is, Jones is for real. So I know Bautista is extremely motivated to get back in the win column, and this is going to be a solid fight here. I'm excited to have this fight added to the fight card. As a real fight fan, you guys know we're looking forward to every single one of these. How do I see this fight playing out? Jay Perrin, great cardio. He's a decently well-rounded fighter, but he's a guy that typically pushes forward, hangs on guys against the cage. He doesn't consistently get his takedowns. He's gotten them on some guys, but I think a guy like Bautista will be able to keep the fight standing for the most part. And by the way, Bautista putting in work over at the MMA Lab. You guys know, one of the top gyms, and they've been doing phenomenal over the last couple of years. Expect Bautista to really, really work the kicks and to have an advantage with the kicks. I'll say that again. Bautista has hands in his own right, but I think that but Bautista will be a little bit more of the lengthy fighter as well, the 2-inch height advantage. I think that the kicks will be the X factor. I edge Bautista taking this fight. I think that he outpoints Jay Perrin. Now, I do want to point out that even though Bautista has not been shy to finish many opponents that he squared off against, especially towards the beginning of his career, Jay Perrin is a guy that's only been finished once in his career, and that was via a guillotine choke in the third round by Regivaldo Carvalho over in Bellator. Other than that, you take a look at his first 2 losses, split decisions against Blair Tugman and Zechariah Lange. And other than that was the one loss in Dana White's Contender Series. And he showed to be very tough. Now, remember also, Dwight Joseph is a guy that carries some serious power. You take a look at his resume. He has a lot of finishes as well. So in that regard, I do favor that Jay Perrin steps in, takes this fight, and I think that he shows his toughness and he goes the distance even if he loses. Although I favor Bautista, I don't expect Bautista just to steamroll him here. And I think that the line values Jay Perrin, in my opinion. If you were to poke at this fight, I think that you would poke at Jay Perrin with the plus odds up in the middle of the 200s, plus 250, plus 260. I think that's where the value is. I wouldn't be crazy about taking Mario Bautista or parlaying him in the minus 300s. That's how I feel about it. And you'll see. You guys will see what this guy Perrin is about. He's a tough customer, and my pick will be Mario Bautista. Now, I want to end this card by giving you guys a fun fact. The world's oldest wooden wheel has been around for more than 5,000 years. What do you guys think about that? It was found in 2002, approximately 12 miles of Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia, and is now housed in the city's museum. Radiocarbon dating was used to determine the wheel's age, which is somewhere between 5,100 and 5,350 years old. Closer to home, these are the oldest tourist attractions in every state. I don't know. I'm going to start throwing these fun facts at you guys. I thought that'd be interesting. I'll be throwing them in at the end of my full card breakdowns as well. I got some good ones lined up, but I found that to be pretty interesting. That over 5,000 years ago, they were riding around on 22s with their little buggies and horse carriages, riding around with the 22s. I wonder if they had some spinners in them and whatnot. But that's the fun fact there. But again, now my pick is going to be Mario Bautista to take out Jay Perrin, with the line favoring Bautista more so. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys know, if you want to work with me for my official plays, I'm always here. I can give you my pricing. Reach out to me. All my contact information's below, scrolling, email, Instagram, all that. Shoot me a message. Other than that, you guys know I do also offer, if you guys sign up through Bovada through my referral link and deposit over $50, use my referral, I give you guys a free weekend of picks, including my sports betting weekly picks for the entire weekend. So it's a great value there. All right, guys, if you're interested, shoot me a message. I'll be catching up with you guys a lot. The weekend's almost here, and I'll be all over IG in the story. Go follow me, MMA Fortune Teller _. All right, guys, signing out. Teller.
Welcome to the show. This the MMA Fortune Teller. Yeah.
The MMA Fortune Teller.
The teller.